Now, actually, that the weddings are over, am I surprised that who said yes and no? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I think I expected, at least looking at the couples that were in the top five, I would have expected three of them to say yes. But the wild card for me is Billy and Ashley. I didn't expect them to say yes because they were very tumultuous. I actually expected Bardah and Jed to say yes, and Billy and Ashley, I expected them to be a no. But at least we have three marriages. Do I think all three marriages will still be intact at the reunion? I don't think so. I think there's going to be issues with Billy and Ashley. That is a given. Because they were not very stable. I think Ashley sort of begging him at the altar, in my opinion, this is my opinion, because her speech came across as though she was giving a performance for him to say yes. So I think her performance at the altar is the reason why he said yes. I think had he gone first and had she gone second, he would have turned around and said no. But because she went first and sort of came across as though she was begging, this is why he said yes. I might be wrong, but anyway. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love is Blind UK, Season 2, Episode 10. So we have Jed and Bardah at the altar waiting to say I do or not, because they're asked, is love truly blind? And she says, we're both not ready. We need more time. What do I think? I think, yes, he must have had his issues, but at the same time, her wanting to be in control all the time and sort of setting the narrative is the reason why she said no. I don't know whether he did anything seriously wrong that would justify her saying no, because they seemed very content, unless they were playing up on camera and having their drama off camera, because her friends bringing up the fact that you don't argue, and then suddenly that's her excuse for saying no. I don't get it. I really don't get it. She says we need to learn more about each other. We need to learn how to resolve conflict. Yes, I understand that. But at the same time, if you've been saying you're peaceful and you're happy in your couple, what has changed? What has changed in the 4 days that you've been away for you to suddenly say you don't want to say yes to this man? I don't know. The way she stormed off, he was taken aback. I don't think he expected that. So for her to storm off and go there and start crying and then have her mom was shocked. Her mom couldn't comprehend what was going on. Yes, there's language barriers, but at the same time, I think she expected her daughter to say yes, or her daughter must have told her we're going to say yes, and then decided last minute to play in this man's face. Do I think Jed is a great guy? I don't know him personally, but the qualities that is shown, I think are good. Do I think that there were things that could not have been resolved unless he had another partner and he was just doing this for the clout? There's no reason why he couldn't, they couldn't fix whatever went wrong. Yes, they did go out and speak, and, she said she still wanted more time. She didn't want to lose him. Her friend saying you did the right thing, leads me to believe that the committee sat down, had a conversation of whether this was the right guy for her or not, and the committee said no, and this is why her friends were in agreement, because they seem to know more about what was going on than us, the viewers, or even her parents. His mom and dad were taken aback. I don't think they expected her to say no. I don't think expected her to say no. Yes, he was asked, what was your answer going to be? And he said it doesn't matter anyway because she said no. So my answer doesn't matter. And it leads me to believe that he could have been a no or maybe. And so was waiting to see what she would say first and maybe ask for her to go first. That way, depending on what she said, he would go with that or he would go against it. Them continuing to see each other after the experiment, I don't get it, because the purpose of the experiment is you meet someone, you fall in love, and then you say yes. Them continuing to sort of explore this connection leads me to believe that maybe they're not 100% set on being married and they just want to date, and so they came on the show to find someone to date, not someone to marry. That's the impression that I get. Do I see a future? No. We then have Sarover and Khal. Sarover and Khal, I really liked them in the pods. I thought they were cute. I loved their communication style. Yes, they had issues with the fact that they were from two totally different cultural backgrounds, but I love that they sort of put that to the side. They addressed it and then they put it to the side, and that was it. So for Sarover to come in and then have Khal come in, it was really cutesy. And I loved her mom's outfit. Her mom looked on point. She looked on point. She really looked amazing. I love that she was happy. Even Khal's brother was happy because Khal's brother had a conversation with him after he had been on his own, because initially they walked in, found little gifts from one another, and then they then sort of had conversations. She had a conversation with her mum, he had a conversation with his brother, and surprisingly it seems his brother is now on board. It seems his brother is now on board with this whole situation and is really sort of wishing his brother will say yes and get married to this girl. I think spending time with Sarover might have changed the brother's opinion of, Sarover, and he's seen that this is a very good match for his brother. They then walked up. I loved the dresses, but then you had Khal with his brother and his bridal party sort of walk up, and they had the drums. I don't know whether that's the Pakistani thing. I love those drums, so they were banging the drums. It was really cute that they sort of honored their culture in that sort of process. I thought they were going to wear cultural attire for the wedding, but they decided to go with with the standard. And westernized sort of dress attire. And it was really cute. I really loved it. You had her mum come out for Sarover. You had her sister as well. They had a conversation. It was the cutest ever. And then seeing her dad there to support his daughter was amazing. You can see that Sarover comes from money. You can see that Sarover comes from money. Clock it. You can see it by her family's appearance, by the dad's appearance. He looked more like a doctor, but that's just me stereotyping. Anyway, so the dad said he was proud of his daughter. She was proud of herself. He then walked her up the aisle, which was really cute. So I loved it. They went up. They were so happy. His family, his brother, the way Khal's brother was beaming from, he was shining all his teeth. I was shocked, given how suspicious he had been about the whole situation. They got up there. Sarover said her vows, they were the sweetest ever. She described the man that Khal was and why she liked him or why she wanted to marry him, and that she saw him as the father of her children, which was amazing. Khal tried to be dramatic. For him to tear up his speech, I was like, boy, if you don't tape it back together, Sarover's mother is about to throw these hands. Anyway, he did explain the qualities, or he described the qualities he wanted in a partner and how Sarover sort of aligned with those, and he told her, I love you. I wish he had said more. I have a feeling the production edited this speech. That way it looked sort of very superficial, but I really love it. Because his mom and dad were happy. She was asked, is love blind? She said, yes, I do. I want to marry this man. And then you had Khal's mom sitting there going, say I do, say I do, say I do. And so for him to say I do, it was the cutest thing ever. I loved it because you can tell that his family really wanted him to marry Sarover. I think marrying Sarover is the best thing Khal can do for himself, because Sarover will be able to help him sort of step up in the world and sort of motivate him and drive him to be the best version of himself. And they'll bring out qualities in one another that we as viewers might not have seen on the show. You then had them walk down the aisle. Once they'd said yes, Sarover went and changed. They looked like models. They really did. Looking at their physical appearance, they looked like models. So Sarover put on her Indian bridal suit. It was gold and it was beautiful. I actually really loved Megan and Kieran. I think if you look at the weddings, if you had to rank them, the one that looked most organic, as though the people have been dating for a long time and are now at marriage, are Kieran and Megan, followed by Sarover and Khal. But I loved the fact that, you always have Megan in this la la land whereby she's just, doing her own thing. She's living life carefree, and she's found a man that allows her to present as her best self. So she came in, Kieran came up. We didn't get to see her car ride, and I don't know why that happened, but anyway, we move on. You had Kieran's mom come in. This is the first time we get to meet her. She was joking at the idea that Kieran had sort of upstaged her and looked way better than she did. I love that she looks like one of those typical English women, those no-nonsense women, those, I don't know how to describe her. And she seems like an older mother. And I love their banter. I love how serious they were. And so it was really cute to see his mom supporting him. We got to see him at the bridge having a conversation with his dad, sort of saying that he is definitely ready for marriage. Do I think so? Yes. I think Kieran made the best choice for himself. I don't think Sophie would have made him happy. I think with Sophie, there would have been a lot of arguing. He found someone who's as easygoing as he is, so they will be able to make that work. Megan had her mum and her sister there. Her mum walked her down the aisle. I loved that. I thought it was really cute. You could tell she was ready to say yes to this man. I love that Kieran also said that we are the youngest couple in the experiment, but we align on quite a lot of things, that we feel we found our person, and the love that I have for, Megan is a totally different type of love to any other partner that I've had previously. I liked his little top hat and the stake and the cane, sorry. He got to the altar, he waited for her, she was walked down by her mum. I thought her dress looked amazing. I would have expected it to be in something a bit cookie, but at least she wore something very formal and very cute. They both said yes. Am I surprised? No. I loved their speeches, that they were very sentimental, but I'm not surprised they said yes, because they really complement one another. And Kieran, in being himself, he has allowed Megan, as she said, to lower her walls down and sort of accept and present as her best self, or present as herself, and he has accepted it, and she has accepted him for the man that he is. I wasn't surprised that they both said yes. I really wasn't surprised, because I know Kieran prior to that was saying he really doesn't want to get divorced, and so he wants to make sure that he's made the right decision for himself. But I wasn't surprised that they both said yes. They walked down the aisle together, they shared a little kiss, and then we had this thing where they were sort of having confetti thrown at them. I think Kieran and Megan have the potential to be another successful couple. They spoke in their vows about wanting children, wanting a family of their own. So as long as they go along the same path as people like Bliss and Zach, I can see them actually lasting. I can actually see them. And then Ashley and Billy. Ashley and Billy, I always give me Kwame and Chelsea vibes, because it comes across as one of them is desperate to get married and the other one is just going along just for the sake of going along. Anyway, we have Billy still having his concerns about divorce. He wants to make sure that if he says yes, he is saying yes for forever. He's not just saying yes for the meantime. He says he's in love with her, and he's never felt about anyone the same way he does with Ashley. And so he really loves her and wants to make sure that he makes the best choice for her. Ashley has her sisters there, and she is anxious as well, because she doesn't know what Billy is going to say. The last time they were together, he was sort of conflicted, and her siblings are asking her, so what did he say? We hope he chooses you. He takes the risk and chooses you. And it's like, I don't want someone to choose me as a risk. I want them to choose me because their gut is telling me that I'm their person, or their heart is telling them that I'm their person. I don't want them to do me as a trial and error, just because what if things don't work out? So Ashley was saying that she's prepared for a no, but she's hoping for a yes. And it's like, you can't walk down the aisle and say that. Her dad walked her down the aisle, and her dad was saying, I'm very nervous about this, because normally you walk your daughter down knowing she's going to say yes, he's going to say yes. And in this situation, I have no control over what the decision is going to be. And I don't know what the decision is going to be as well. And it's like, well, if I wish her community had been more honest with Ashley and told her, you need to pull the parachute and just jump out, because this ain't it, because you need to be 100% sure and he needs to be 100% sure. I would have expected Ashley to say no as compared to Bardah. That's the impression that I get. Unless there's something else we don't know about Bardah and Jed, I would have expected Ashley to say no. I would have expected Ashley to say we need more time. That way they could date in the real world and make sure that they actually align on their schedules and stuff. But when they got to the altar, she said yes. He then said yes. Her speech, I think her vows were very performative. The fact that she was gesturing towards his family, you love your family, this, that, and the other. I thought it was a bit too much. It was a bit over the top. Am I surprised they say yes? Very surprised. I still am. Okay, what's my overall perception? Well, I think because we had Bardah and a friend still insisting that she really wants time with this man, Bardah wants to be able to see how much control she'll have in this relationship before she can say yes. And sadly, her friends are not telling her the truth, and they're not being honest with her. And this is why she continues on this roller coaster whereby she's saying, I want us to have time, I want us to explore, I want us to make sure we're 100% right. On his part, Jed, I think, is done. I think he's done. I think he's over it, and I think he's ready to move on. And I wouldn't be surprised if he moves on, because there's no need for all this mess. There's no need for, we need time, we need this, that. It's either I'm your person or you don't. It's either you're ready for marriage or you're not. That's it. Oh, I loved Sarover and Khal and the dancing that they had and the colors, because I've seen a lot of Indian weddings. They have these colors that they sort of throw in the air and sort of, I think it's a sign of, I don't know what it means. can someone let me know if they do know what it means? But it was really nice to see them sort of say we've overcome cultural differences and we understand that what's important is love. So if they're happy, I love it for them. I see a future with them. I know Sarover posted a video of herself sort of jogging and whatever. I have a feeling Khal was there. Or they might have started spending time apart because obviously people would see them together and put one plus one to make it two. So I can't wait to see what the reunion says. But they are wearing colors that are slightly similar, which leads me to believe that they're still together, and I love it for them. Ashley and Billy, I don't know. I really don't know about them. I think they are the couple that should have said no. I think they should have said no, or not right now, and then they should have gone into the real world and explored that. Ashley is over the moon. She's giddy. Billy is still in doubt, so I don't know. And then Kieran and Megan are the couple of the season. Every season you have that one couple. Kieran and Megan have really found their person. The fact that Kieran participated in that little cutesy dance that Megan had choreographed for them was the sweetest thing ever. I see a future for them. I see them growing all together because as long as they can continue to be in the space they're in, nothing can stop them as a couple, as Kieran has said before. Sorry, I don't know what's happened. I think I'm joking on something. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 9. Bye everyone.